Hello, ladies and jelly spoons. Game Ninja here. Welcome to the Game Dojo. This is for I got a few comments in my inbox. Somebody actually from late in the 80s, back in my old school day, has a picture of a tournament they was at and wanted to know if it was me. It was in Morristown and it was for a yellow belt from Kim's Karate, Taekwondo. And I've never been so happy in my entire life to actually confirm to the person that yes, that was me. And people was like, "Damn, you was in the martial arts back then. You must be like a master now." I did receive my black belt in several different arts, and I did go and study abroad. I did get a chance to study in Japan, a little in China. Um, I was in Jamaica, but I didn't really learn anything in Jamaica. And I studied capoeira from maestre who was on the streets in Brazil. So I did learn a palette full of martial arts. But like Bruce Lee, I wanted to tailor a suit towards me when it comes to martial arts. Some people jump into one art and they stay in one art for life. I was interested in learning multiple arts because I had a chance to travel on a student visa when I was studying philosophy, and it gave me the ability to go to a bunch of different places and learn a lot of different modern thoughts, especially when it comes to martial science. In Japan, I learned about the samurai. I learned about shoguns, junin, genin, field agents. I had a chance to study Togakiru, ninjutsu. Um, my boy Kevin was into it. Me and him met in high school, getting ready to fight each other in a classroom over whose style was better. That's the way things happened back in the day. Through him and a host of other friends that I learned, they were all in martial arts. My brother Phil, my brother Deese, Kev. I can't believe we started out going to fight each other and we ended up best friends. Oh my God, that was over 20 years ago, over 30 years ago now. Um, but we all did martial arts and we used to all go to the park and we used to all practice for a while, and some of us went to tournaments and did tournaments, and some of us went here and did that. And though we were all from different disciplines and different schools, we all had the unique ability to come together and share what we learned. And in martial arts, the ultimate level of martial arts is making a friend out of an enemy. um, I never had an enemy in my brother Phil or Deese, but me and Kev started out as enemies. During my times there, I had taken on some students. I had shown people things. No money, no money change your hands. Because the only people that want to stick with you is people who don't want to waste your time, and the people that don't want to waste your time, they're doing a service when it comes to the martial arts. And many years have come and gone since then, and um, with the health diagnosis that I received, physically my body has broken down a lot, but I still manage to do what I can when I can for as long as I can. But yeah, to answer your question, that was me, Alex, in that picture. That was the Morristown tournament, and we were going for, it was a Dan tournament, but we were going for our yellow belts in Kim's Karate. The school was in Cherry Hill. And yes, that was me. And I can remember sparring sessions to Taylor Danes, Tell It to My Heart. I can remember us going after people. I can remember people leaving from other schools and coming to ours. And at a certain point, most of my family had dropped out and I was the last one. And then there was just no point in being there since everybody else had dropped out, but I was the last one. But I still wanted more. So having the ability both before and after high school to travel, study, and learn gave me a broader range in martial arts, which I still have to this day. So that is the game ninja aspect of the title, since people were asking, what is the whole game ninja thing? Well, you can see the martial wall I have up there. I have awards, plaques, belt certificates, things that I've traveled years and years over studying and accomplishments, but those papers mean nothing. A belt means nothing. It's all about what's in the heart and the type of person the martial artist is. And martial science is something that's lifelong. Once you start it, you'll never stop it. There's no such thing as a retired martial artist. No more than there's a such thing as a retired pastor. It just doesn't happen. It's not gonna happen. Once in, always in. Kind of like blood in and blood out. And martial arts is with me until I'm gone and until I die. Andrew asked me about the swords that were on my wall. Each one has a story. I won't tell you all of them, but each one has a story, and each one is very real. Yes, I still use them. Yes, they're not demo swords, as if you were asking. They're real swords. I put a video up on my Martial channel of me slicing an empty water bottle with them. I have bagels, things like that. I've shown the temperament in the steel, and people are asking the quality and the quantity of steel. It's Japanese steel. It's from overseas, and it's not 440 stainless steel, nor is it like Sanmai, nor is it like Damascus with patterns and stuff like that. It does have a blood groove because it was acid edged, but it has Japanese blood, sweat, and tears in all of them. And getting them back to the States back in the day was easier then than it is now. But yeah, so the Three Swords of Rain is my dragon sword, which it's kind of like a Tachi sword, not Tai Chi, Tachi, Tachi. It's a longer form of a katana. It does have a curved blade, it does have the blood groove, and it does have the tapered tip. Now that is kind of katana-esque. I do have a Tanto, and I do have, that's in the Wakizashi over there. I do have the Vei sword, which this was actually given to me at ceremony. It does have Rain Crow on the braid, so you can see. It does have the name on the blade. This one was given to me after ceremony. And then I also have my Japanese steel sword as well, hilt and both going. It's themed after a lesson that I learned. I did have Tai Chi swords, Lion Head, and something that was like a Green Destiny kind of remake. Quite a few times in my life, I was forced to leave everything I own, which those weapons are now somewhere gone. But I did manage to keep my swords with me. The aspect of martial science when it comes to weapons wasn't the fact that I wanted to go out and hurt somebody or that I wanted to go out and destroy my enemies. The martial science of weapons actually came from my training, both in Chinese discipleship, because when you learn the animal styles and you learn Kung Fu, I have a friend who was Hung Gar. I didn't do Hung Gar. I did do Shaolin Kung Fu, Northern style. When you learn the animal styles and you learn to fight with weapons, the weapons are different. They're more of a extension of yourself, just like Japanese steel would be, except for a lot of them are modernly known for show. Twin hook swords, the Kwando, things like that. A lot of those, they're made for competition and they're made for flash. Some of the ancient weapons that they used to use were some of them were 150 pounds. You're not swinging around 150 pounds today in a competition, which I will say competitions changed over the years. Back then it used to be more traditional. Now you do traditional, now you're basically laughed off the stage because everything has evolved to be flips and splits, and none of those moves actually work in competition battle. I mean, if you're doing a demo in a tournament, yeah, by all means. But if you're using them to save a life, protect a life, or your own, you're not gonna cartwheel kick when you're surrounded by 10 guys. For the simple fact as one mistake and you're pummeled. And if you're talking about your life being on the line, the risk versus reward when it comes to something like a butterfly kick or a barrel kick or a backflip kick or a split punch, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. And though the risk versus reward seems high, if failure is anywhere in that 10% of an option, you're going to lose. So I love traditional martial arts when I talk about it. Not the new school acrobatics of what it's become. And I'm not saying anything negative about the way martial arts nowadays are performed, because now when you say, oh, I study martial arts, people think of one or two things. They either think you're on the ground with jiu-jitsu turning people into a pretzel, like the MMA has shown to people. Call it mixed martial arts, but it's all really coming from just jiu-jitsu now, and street fighting and boxing. So it's not really mixed. It's just the same thing now. The first person with the idea for mixed martial arts was Bruce Lee. And a lot of people don't give him credit for it. And a lot of people don't understand the philosophy of what he was talking about, taking from this art, from that art, tailor making a suit to fit you, rather than just a uniform way of fixed punches and blocks and movements that are set patterns. He chose no set patterns, using no way as way. And living my life studying philosophy, both in college and learning about Southern discipline, Northern discipline, Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy, learning the modern thought behind not just martial science, but the practicality of all of it. I had a chance of over 30 years of experience of martial arts, and I can tell you it never leaves you. The physical ability in your body to do the things that you did may diminish, but the spirit of the tiger and the dragon never go away. They live and reside within you. And if it meant your last breath, you would still be able to do one last thing with absolute certainty. Though your head is cut off, you should not die. Very simply put. And an old tiger sensing its death is more dangerous than a young tiger with all its viciousness. Always. Every time. And though that tiger may have 4 moves in it, each one of those moves are finishers. It says something about age. It says something about martial arts. And when it comes to the martial philosophy of me, people are like, oh, well, you just got the swords on your wall. You're just hanging them on your wall for decoration. No. Every single last one of these weapons on my wall, and there are 18 different weapons. Every single last one of them I was trained to use, and every single last one of them I do use, and I still work with. Even with my ability not to be able to walk sometimes or stand, I still use my swords. I practice my forms, I practice my stances, I practice my threading and rethreading. I practice my figure eights with my flail, or you call them nunchucks, my rokushakubo staff, bow staff as you call them, the sai, small pitchforks. I have 2 sets you can see right there on that wall. The kamas as well. These were all farming instruments used in martial combat during times where weapons were outlawed in certain parts of the world. But every single last one of them, I still touch, I still use, I still get the ability in me, because it grants me a soul and a strength. These things are physical, it's true, and physical passes away. But the spiritual side of martial arts lives on forever. And that is what a lot of modern martial arts are missing, is the spiritual side of the whole thing. And I know a lot of people's like, I don't want to get into the spiritual stuff. I just want to learn to kick ass. That's what I'm here for. I want to beat up people and turn them into pretzels. The problem is there's nothing wrong with a punch. A punch can come in quick, it can come in fast, it can come in hard. Whether you call them pak sows, whether you call them reverse driver punches, whether you're using a horse stance or a ma bo, whether you're using Wing Chun, or whether you're using Tai Chi, or whether you're using Jeet Kune Do, or whether you're using Taekwondo, or whether you're using Kempo, Savate, Viarnis, Ryu, Leido, whether you're using Samurai, Bushido Code, it all comes from a spiritual aspect behind the physical. It's mental. And I think this is getting lost in a lot of modern day martial artists. You can be the baddest puncher in the world, and somebody with the lightest, softest, smoothest art can clean your clock instantly in 3 moves, like in chess. They're thinking steps ahead. Bolo Yeung. A lot of you know him, the big muscle-bound Chinese guy that you see in Bloodsport and in the Bruce Lee movies. Tai Chi, a soft art known by a lot of people, is his main art. And you wouldn't think somebody so powerful would have such an art as his main focused style. The art only matters to the practitioner. There's somebody in capoeira who has a different thought process behind throwing a movement as somebody in Taekwondo doing a stance and doing a reverse driver punch into somebody. There's a different thought process behind both of them. What Bruce was trying to do with people is to not let them limit themselves with one style and one aspect with fixed positions. Now, he expired before the realization of his art, and that is a sadness. That is definitely a sadness. But there are still masters. There are still masters out there. There are still grandmasters out there. There are still great grandmasters out there. There are people who are 75 years young, 85 years young, 95 years young, whether they are a Shaolin monk, or whether they are a Tai Chi master, or whether they are in Wushu, or whether they're a part of Jackie Chan's stunt team. There are real masters of the martial art that still live amongst us, and their purpose and their ideals still live on. Thus, their styles and their arts will live on. And this is the true aspect of real martial arts. It is not invented as a military art, because even the military has its own form of fighting in arts. Whether you're doing Krav Maga or whether you're doing Savate, everybody has a style and a way of expressing themselves when it comes to martial science. But I'm talking about something else, something that resides behind the fist, something that deals with the body and the soul and the spirit, something that goes all the way back to feudal Japan, something that goes back even further, back to the Ming and the Qing dynasty, something that goes back to the beginning of time. The belief in oneself. This is the most important aspect in any martial art. And no matter what you learn, no matter what style you learn, and people have fought to the death over what style is the best forever, since the beginning of time. But I'd like to believe that there is another factor besides the art that resides in resounding praise and strength. And that is the soul of that martial artist. So much that someone like Bruce Lee could influence millions upon millions of martial arts, that even his death couldn't eclipse his life. You'll still see remnants of him in video games, in movies, on TV shows. Very few martial artists in this world don't have some form of affirmation and respect for Bruce Lee, Sai Fung, the master. And it's not because he was in Enter the Dragon, and he was a movie star. It's because of the philosophy behind his art. It's because of what he was able to accomplish and the belief in oneself. With no belief in oneself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you've won even before you've started. Marcus Garvey. Martial science is different for every person who practices it. From the lowliest white belt to somebody who, how can I put this with no offense? There are some of us who had to test and earn our white belt. We weren't given a white belt. There are some dojos that will give you your white belt or your sash or your cordano. Some of us had to fight and test to earn that first rank. Now, do I set those people who were given a belt above or below somebody who had to test for that same belt and somebody was given it? I don't disperse against accusations on people, because once again, there are some people who are given that belt who have a natural fighting spirit that will eclipse somebody who's practiced for 5 years. That indominating spirit, that endearing spirit inside of them is so powerful and so strong that with a host of a small knowledge set, that person has the ability to take on and defeat people who are overconfident, who've been in martial arts for years. But then again, on that other side, you have people who've earned that white belt or that sash or that cardano or whatever level you're on. And their repetition is impossible to fathom. It's different than somebody who throws one punch 100 times on a heavy bag than somebody who throws 10,000 of that same punch the same way, the same time, with power behind every single last one of them. You have somebody who's training to throw to maybe knock somebody out, and you have somebody who's training to be perfect. They know the speed of the punch. They know where it'll end behind the target with the snap. They know what part of the fist they're going to use. They know how to angle, how to chamber, how to stand, how to adjust their weight, how to hold back, how to put full force. They're a technician when it comes to that one punch. Now, that person who practices the 50 times on a heavy bag, they may be able to tag somebody with that punch. The person that practices 10,000 times on that one punch knows exactly the result of it every time. They know how to make you go into it. They know how to guesstimate where you will be. They know how to just wake you up with it. They know how to stop it inches from your face. And then they know how to tag you and put you down. And then they know how to put their entire body plus behind that hit. That is martial science. I don't fear the person that trains an hour a day, 7 times a week, maybe 2 hours a day, 7 times a week. I fear the person that trains morning, noon, and night. When they eat their food, they're training. When they're watching TV, they're lifting weights. When they're sleeping at night, they're sleeping in stretches. Their mind is totally focused on the task. That is the person that needs respect. And that person can look like anybody. And that is the beauty of real martial artists. They can look like anybody. They can be anybody. They don't have to be big and muscle bound with a 6-pack on their throat and abdominals on their neck. No, they can be that little old blind man standing on the corner. There's a story I heard a few years ago that makes me laugh. There was a blind man being attacked. You can Google it. And he had to go to court after this, but he's blind. So he's blind, and somebody tried to mug him with a weapon. And he knew martial arts. So he sidestepped the guy, flipped him over. The guy landed very hard on a part of his body. And there were serious injuries. And then there were charges being brought about because the level of force. But I remind you, this man is at disadvantage. He's blind. He was being attacked with a weapon. Now, subsequently, the charges were dropped, which they should have been. But on the same token, who robs a blind man? But who knew that blind man had that level of skill? Just watch Master of the Flying Guillotine. Being at a disadvantage in martial arts doesn't necessarily mean a disadvantage. There are one-arm boxer movies. There are blind fighters. There are crippled Avengers. If you ever watched the Shaw Brothers, there are people in wheelchairs. The thing I love more about martial arts is that you don't have to be at a disadvantage if you have a physicality disability, mental or physical. And that's the amazing part about martial arts, is that it doesn't see weakness in you. It seeks out strength. It looks to give you what you put into it. The more you seek after it, the more it attaches itself to you until it's an armor. And it doesn't matter if you're 5, 15, 25, or 50, or 60, or 70 or 80. There are some Shaolin masters that are 90 years young and above that still practice their katas, they still practice their forms, they still practice daily, and they can do things that seem superhuman. That's total dedication to your mind, your will, and your spirit. Now, in the years of martial arts that I've taken, I prefer traditional over modern every time, because there is more of a methodology and physicalness that comes to it. For simple, anybody who's ever breaking, if you ever done breaking bricks and breaking wood, now I'm not talking about the fake rebreakable wood or the salt bricks. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real, actual breaking. These techniques in method should not function. You should not be able to take a hand and smash bricks in half. They're building blocks of houses, roadways, material. They're built in strength, and yet your bone, inch for inch, is stronger than steel. And how you develop those movements shows you that there is a secret to the human being and the human body and the human spirit. And it has power. Untapped, unfathomable power. That is what I love about martial arts. I didn't mean to talk too long about everything, but I do want to say that over the years I've lost quite a few people, both martial and non-martial, and I dedicate this video to you guys because even as students, I learn more from you than you learn from me. And whether you are here or whether you have passed on beyond the veil, I still salute you. I still have respect for you, no matter what this world has done to you. Mentally, physically, socially, I still respect you. When I met you in this world, you looked me eye to eye, you stood before me. That means something. Some of you have encountered me in fights. Some of you have sparred with me. Some of you have martial wrestled with me. Some of you have broken and breaking competitions with me. Some of you have demoed and demo competitions with me, where we have gone to church events and showed our level of skill, or whether or not you were on the stage of Woodrow Wilson doing one-finger push-ups, Phil, and embarrassing an American ballet company. I salute all of you. And there is nobody in this world that can take from you what you've placed in this world. And in my heart and in my soul and in my mind, I salute you all, and you have my utmost respect until death and beyond. So ladies and jelly spoons, boys and girls, children of all ages, if I've come across you, if you've entered my life, if you've studied with me, under me, or together with me, if you've traveled with me, if you've been there in the trenches with me, the saga continues, just a new chapter. And when the light is extinguished from this candle, don't be sorrowful, don't be hurt, be joyful, be gleeful. Take what I've given you and what you've learned and pass it on. That is how these arts have been for centuries, thousands of years. So I end this video, as I do all my videos. Hopefully I'll see you next time. And to my masters of the martial arts, all of you, whether you are a capoeira maestre, whether you are a shidoshi, whether you are a master, a sensei, whether you are a kodan, whether you are jonin, shogun, whether you are a bushi, whether you could be Viarnisru, Lado, you could be Kempo, you could be Savate, you could be ninjutsu, you can be wushu, you can be kung fu. No matter your style, no matter your effort, no matter your mark in the martial arts, brothers aren't we all? In blood, in life, and in blood, in death. You don't have to love every single last one, but respect among practitioners is gold. Never forget, the highest level of martial arts is making a friend out of an enemy. We only get one life. Live it well. This. And for my people, this. See you guys next time.